Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Facebook Live. And today we are diving into our LEPSL 550 Discussion Board MVP interview. Thank you all so much for joining us today, whether you are here with us live or watching the replay. And with that, I'll kick things over to our academic director, Dr. Erik Fritsvold.
Sarah, thanks so much for the kind introduction here. And folks out there in the LE community, thanks for joining us for what promises to be a particularly interesting conversation. This is one of the highlights of my job and my role here at the university, is to have an interactive conversation with students who just make everything around them better. Student experience is the most valuable part of our program. And so I hope through this interview that we can bring that to life a little bit. And this is a little bit of a special discussion board MVP interview. It comes, as Sarah noted, from our 550 Data Fluency and Analysis course, which just ended. But it's special because we have co-discussion board MVPs voted on by their peers. We've had that in the past. What we've never had, and what's unprecedented, we've never had two students in the same class at the same time be co-winners of discussion board MVP. They were described to me by their professor as the 1-2 punch of the discussion board. So now I can't wait to get into it here. So without further ado, everybody, please join me in congratulating your co-discussion board most valuable players. First, from the Sacramento Police Department, Captain Vance Chandler. Huge congratulations, Captain. Thanks for joining us here this morning.
Thank you for having me. It truly is an honor.
Fantastic. And our other co-discussion board MVP from the Citrus Heights Police Department, Detective Sergeant Seth Cimino. Sergeant, thanks so much for joining us.
Most definitely. Good morning. And again, thank you for having me.
Fantastic. Well, gentlemen, I'm going to dive right in. I have the pleasure of working with you both before, so I know a little bit about your background and context, but especially for the viewing public out there and our audience. Captain Chandler, let's start with you, please. Would you mind just describing a little bit about your current role with the Sacramento Police Department, please?
Sure. I work for the Sacramento Police Department. I've been with the department for 23 years now, and I proudly serve as one of our patrol captains, and I oversee our North Command. And so we have 4 commands in our city. One serves the north area of the city, one the east area, then one in the south area, and one in the central area. And so our North Command is comprised of over 100 officers that are patrol officers. We have 2 districts in our North Command, and so each district will have a day shift team, a swing shift team, a graveyard team, and then each team has a senior team and a junior team. And then we also have a problem-oriented policing team that's housed out of our station, violent crime reduction team that's housed out of our station, and the neighborhood crimes unit, which are detectives who investigate property crimes, robberies, etc. We have 4 lieutenants at our station. One is assigned to day shift, one swing shift, and the other one graveyard. And then we have an executive lieutenant who oversees all of our specialty units. And then, of course, our true workers in the building are professional staff, and they keep our building together and keep us in line. And so I'm honored to serve in this role. We serve the north area of Sacramento, about a quarter of the city. Our population in Sacramento is roughly about 520,000. And we have many visitors who come to visit the city very frequently, and then many who commute to the city for work. And so it's an honor to serve in this capacity, and I've loved every minute of this program. And so I know we'll go into further, but that's a little bit about my position and my role.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for the context. And I'm always struck as you rise through the administrative ranks, just how many moving parts, different objectives, all over under the umbrella of your mission, of course, but not a lot of dull days in your current job description, I would imagine. So I appreciate the context here, Captain. Sergeant Cimino, same question. Do you mind providing a little bit more about your role and your current responsibilities at Citrus Heights PD, please, sir?
Yes, most definitely. I started in law enforcement 21 years ago with the Del Norte County Sheriff's Office up on the North Coast. Very rural sheriff's department. Had a wonderful time. Was up there almost 12 years. Absolutely beautiful area. 300-foot redwood trees. Meet the Pacific Ocean. You can't beat it. And you've got to appreciate the nature of that. From here originally, the Sierra foothills. My wife is from the Sacramento Valley, and we moved back 10 years ago, and I've been with the Citrus Heights Police Department now for 10 years. Currently a detective sergeant with the police department. I supervise our impact unit, which is a hybridized unit of street crime suppression, drugs, gangs, vice, firearm-related crimes, and then quality of life as well. So we handle a lot of problem-oriented policing issues as well. So it's you really have to be adaptable and fluid in this role depending on the projects that pop up. I also have the opportunity to supervise our homeless outreach navigator program, which is great. My two navigators work their rear ends off. They're awesome. Just for context, Citrus Heights is a suburb city of Sacramento, about 15 minutes from the downtown northeast of Sacramento on Interstate 80. We have about 90,000 residents. From the chief to the most rookie officer, we're about 90 to 92 officers. So, about a fifth or sixth of the size of Captain Chandler's team at Sacramento PD. So great program. Our investigative unit where I'm assigned right now, we have general investigations. Those are your suit and tie detectives that work crimes. And then my team, and I would consider like a street team. We're kind of the ground and pound going out and drumming up business. So a pleasure. And just to reiterate what the captain said, this program has been life-changing. What a true privilege to be able to learn with my fellow classmates in this program, an honor. So thank you very much for having me today.
Wow. Gentlemen, so very glad that we served you well. And I'm starting to get a sense of why you two are so well positioned to raise the level of discourse in the discussion boards. It seems like your current role touched so many critical issues facing modern law enforcement and public safety. There's probably hardly an issue that you cannot contribute to by virtue of your experience. So drilling down a little bit, and Captain Chandler, I'm gonna start with you here. As I went through this course to prepare for this interview, what struck me, Captain, was really for both of you, the extra effort that went into crafting both of your posts. Captain Chandler, I looked at a post from your very first week in the course, and you brought your lived and professional experience into the post. You brought statistics about calls for service at your agency and disaggregated those into different categories. And you compared those with some results from a recent community satisfaction survey. And it was such a great evidence, experience, analysis kind of trifecta approach. So my question for you is, clearly that's a post on steroids. Like that goes above and beyond what the prompt asks, and it adds such value. So I guess the question is about motivation and time. What motivates you just to put so much into these interactive discussion boards?
Well, thank you very much for the very nice compliments. I appreciate it. And what motivates me is, I'm always striving to be a better husband, be a better father, be a better partner, be a better leader. And so really that's what motivates me. And when I joined this LEPSL program, I wanted to improve in many areas, including leadership, and be a better police officer and serve my department better, serve the community better, and serve our profession better. And so really that's what motivates me. And I know that in this program, I don't just represent Vance Chandler, I represent the Sacramento Police Department. And if I have something to offer to help another peer in my class or another peer in our profession, then that's my goal. And so I thought it was really critical to share that information because we really do serve the community. And so when we look at all the challenges we face in law enforcement today, especially staffing shortages, all the questions on, what are we doing in policing and how do we police, and many who criticize the resources that we do have, those of us internally, we know the challenges we have with the resources that we do have. And so we really have to look at our calls, the types of calls that we are receiving from the community, and then really analyze to figure out the best approach that we take and how do we prioritize our mission and our objectives as leaders in the department to make sure that we are properly serving the community and we are responding to their needs. Because a lot of times in law enforcement, we have an idea or a strategy that we think will work. We also come in with just limited experiences and a limited vision from a law enforcement perspective. And so it's really important to reach out to the community, just as we have in these recent surveys, to understand what their priorities are and understand what their concerns are, and also just ask them, these are issues that have come up in the community, whether it be crime issues, blight issues, quality of life issues. What are your priorities? And with those priorities, how do you want us to police? Especially in our underserved communities, because as we've covered in this program, one of the pillars in 21st century policing is building trust and legitimacy in our profession. And so in our underserved communities, traditionally when we've had crime and issues within those neighborhoods, we've done this zero tolerance policing where we stop everyone, and we may think we have success in arrest and our tickets. And yeah, that's success in one area, but what does it do as far as building trust in those underserved communities? And so hearing from the community to see exactly what they want, because as we learned in our budget course, they're the ones paying our salaries, and they're the ones paying what we are doing with the resources that we do have. And so it's really important to understand, not only from a law enforcement perspective of what we know, what works, what has worked in the past, what hasn't worked, but also hearing from the community and understanding their needs, their priorities, so that we really, truly do serve them.
Lots to unpack there, Captain. First, I couldn't agree more strongly with the striving to be better mantra. I think that's important for all of our professional development. But what a true community policing perspective, right? It's not just community policing as a buzzword, but truly infused into the fabric of your organization as you described it. So I really appreciate that answer. And about your process about crafting such a robust response on the discussion board. So Sergeant Cimino, really similar question. Working through your performance in this course, I was struck by a post in Module 4 where you analyzed our Spotlight expert presentation from the San Diego Police Department Chief, David Nislight. He was talking about many of the same community policing philosophies that the captain just described, along with the staffing shortages and doing more with less. And you took his multifaceted interview and connected it with each and every element of the module, and then wove your lived experience into each and every analytical point. So it really was like 5 discussion board posts in one, which adds such depth and richness to the course. So real similar question. You earned that grade on application 1, right? That's 100% grade doing one solid execution, but you did 500% of that. And often first. I don't know if you were first every module, but maybe so. So posting early, being so thorough, what motivated you just to be so engaged with your classmates?
Yeah, I'm a competitive person by nature, and knowing that Captain Chandler was going to post very early, I needed to make sure that I did my best to up my game. Just to comment on Captain Chandler in his last answer, I love the analysis that he has, and he offers it from a command staff level employee, which is great. And this is why his posts are so valuable, because I look at it as a frontline supervisor through my lens and offer my perspective that way. And then to have a partner like Captain Chandler to be able to expand and then offer that lens from a command staff level employee just makes the discussion boards so much more enriching. Like I'll read his posts. I'll read them aloud to my wife. Like, man, I thought I did a good job on this post, but listen to what the captain wrote. I mean, it's like knocked out of the park, right? So to kind of go back to the spotlight. So community policing, my very first class in criminal justice in 1995 at Sacramento State was taught by a sociologist, and she taught, not a cop, she taught intro to law enforcement from a relational lens. How does the society interact with law enforcement and vice versa? And I was enamored by that. I was hooked on that, and then really fell in love with community-oriented policing to go with that. Citrus Heights is a very new agency, 17 years. It was built on the philosophy of community-oriented policing. Our citizens are our customers. We need to provide the best customer service product possible to them. That comes in many different forms when we're able to do that. And it is critical for us, whether you're the rookie cop or the detective sergeant, the captain, the chief, whatever it is, to understand that we face in our communities, our jurisdictions, common problems. My problem is my community's problem as well. So how do I partner with my community to reduce crime and improve the quality of life? This is a partnership. You can go to many jurisdictions where it's adversarial and very little gets done, or we can find ways through 21st century policing, community-oriented policing, to really look at solving those problems from a lot of different angles. And through that discussion board, some things that I remember, I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was statistics of how many San Diego police officers made it to community events. And I was so stoked. The number was so high. I don't remember the exact number, but I remember when I heard it, I was like, whoa, that's awesome. In the last certain amount of time, the last year, 6 months, whatever it was, I'm like, that's a lot of folks getting to know Seth Cimino, the guy behind the badge, Vance Chandler, the guy behind the badge. How can you and I foster a great relationship, build trust, so that we can work together? I've never forgot this, but someone calls us on their worst day, a complete and total stranger. I'm a stranger to who calls me on their worst day. It may have taken an hour, a year, a month, a lifetime for that situation to get to that point where they call me a stranger. I have a huge responsibility to be able to do everything I can. I may not be able to solve that problem at that exact moment, but everything I can to be a catalyst to start in the right direction to solve that. I don't remember exactly what class it was, but we talked about, I think it was maybe our last leadership class, 540. We talked about the warrior mindset versus the guardian mindset, and how true it is for us to be that guardian mindset versus the warrior. The warrior kind of, it's awesome, but it kind of has an us versus them versus the guardian mindset. So a lot of fun with the posts. They make the class, that they really do. And it's a privilege to be able to get them in early and be able to start to communicate right off the bat when they start coming in.
Great. One theme I'm taking away from both of you is the different perspectives that come together on the discussion boards. First, I was really struck by the, again, not symbolic community policing, but truly infused and meaningful community policing approach from both of your responses. But I've been told time and time again that being able to leverage different perspectives from across the United States and Canada, and now we have a student in the Caribbean, at different ranks, different roles, different responsibilities, that you have the command staff perspective, frontline supervisor perspective, maybe you have a second-year officer, second-year deputy perspective. And I'm struck by the similarity of the challenges and opportunities facing a 9-person agency in a rural community or a massive municipal agency in a major city. It's really striking. Let's see. My job's to keep us on task and push forward. I'm going to do just that. One of the most common questions we get when folks are learning about the LEPSL program, or maybe in our onboarding orientation course, is really about balance and bandwidth. And having had the pleasure working with both of you, I know you're both committed, family first kind of folks. You all have children that are, I think I can say, highly successful competitive athletes, and I'm sure that involves all sorts of time and travel. Sergeant Cimino, I'd like to start with you here. How do you find that balance? Clearly, you have a demanding and unpredictable day job. You have a demanding and rigorous master's program, and prioritize your family all at the same time. Can you talk us and the audience through that a little bit, please?
Yeah, definitely. So for me, it's about routine and rhythm. That's just how I work. I remember getting into this program and being very anxious, to say the least, on what's it like to be an online student. I'm used to the classroom style of learning. And then I realized I needed to get into a rhythm. So on my end, what works for me, it's solely based off everybody's schedule, is I know that life has a good possibility of just getting in the way. So with that in mind, early in the week, I need to make sure that when I have those free moments, I'm engaged immediately. So the class drops at midnight on Friday, or Friday morning, I guess. I know that for me, I go from detective sergeant who ends his week Friday, give or take around 8 p.m. I know that come Saturday morning or Friday night, depending on how things are going at the house after the kids go to bed, I need to turn into student Seth, because that's my free time right there. And so I will commit maybe Friday night, all day Saturday, part of Sunday. On the weekends, I'm a student. Yes, are there games, are there competitions, tournaments, family gatherings, of course, but those get interwoven into getting the posts out. It's critical for me to get them out early, because not only do I don't like to procrastinate, I want it done. Number two, I want to be Captain Chandler to get it out early. And number three, I know that again, life gets in the way and there are things that have to be done. So, but also on my end, my wife and I homeschool our boys. They're 8 and 10. And I want to be a great student example for them as well. To try to homeschool 8 and 10-year-old boys it's like herding cats to try to get them going. And I want to be that great representative for them to say, and I hear it from my wife all the time, I guarantee you Dad does not want to be sitting in front of the computer right now. He'd like to be going out doing blank. But Dad is doing his student work right now. So it's finding the time and taking advantage of that free time, because right now, Captain Chandler or myself, we could get dispatched or have to head out to an incident command for a critical incident that could keep us here at the station for hours, maybe even days, depending on how bad it is. So strike while the iron is hot. And for me, just for pure comfort level, for me, it's getting it Friday night or Saturday, because it's just one less thing I have to concern myself with, because I know the other shoe may drop. So it's good, and it's about consistency.
I appreciate that. I love the routine and rhythm. I love the getting there early and prepare for the inevitable unpredictable items that are going to come your way. But I wanted to follow up. It was just graduation weekend for the current cohort of LEPSL students. And maybe one of the most rewarding things for me is to see people graduating with their children in the audience. And a lot of students tell me the same thing you just did, which is, I don't want to just talk about the value of education. I want to lead by example and have my children see the sacrifices I'm making for our collective betterment. And, to see a child at the LEPSL reception is just about the coolest thing I ever get to do in a year. So I appreciate you highlighting that. So Captain Chandler, really similar question. You went over the scope and diversity of your responsibilities. Again, I know that you have extensive family commitments, and both of you have thrived, quite honestly, in the LEPSL program by virtue of being recognized here today. Can you talk us through that work-life LEPSL balance, if you don't mind, sir?
Sure. I want to first start with saying that I have a very faithful and supportive wife. And as you mentioned, it's awesome to see the kids at these graduations. And each time I've been promoted, it's been the family getting promoted, because they make a lot of sacrifices. And when I'm at home, it's not like I can say, hey, Vance is at home and work has left, right? I have to be available for any kind of needs from any people who work from you or community needs. And so many times at home, I may be home, but I'm not engaged and I'm not connected with the family. And so I'm very cognizant of that. And one of the things that really means a lot to me is making sure that I am still engaged in my kids and their activities and their sports. I'm really proud of my kids. I have a 17-year-old. She's in her last week of high school. She's a tremendous swimmer. She will be leaving on June 21st to start West Point. So
huge congratulations. That's fantastic.
Thank you. She'll have the opportunity to swim for West Point. She'll start boot camp on June 26th. So really proud. And so in addition to my oldest, I have 15-year-old twins. They're also swimmers. They recently qualified for sections, prelims, and finals. And then they also recently traveled to the California State meet in addition to my oldest daughter. And so they're really thriving, and I'm really proud of them. And so my wife reminds me every day of how much I need balance in my life. And so I'm really grateful to have her in my ear constantly. And, not only do we take all of what this program has to offer in academic and networking and the discussion boards, but one of the things that you really have to do as a leader is you have to balance many different tasks, personnel issues, managing the requests from the community, from your peers, from your bosses, from council members. And so in managing all of these tasks, this program really gives you the opportunity to be more organized, to make sure that you are balancing those tasks. And so I've viewed this program as not only giving me all these new skills and this new knowledge, the new network, but also afforded me the opportunity to be someone who is better at staying organized and balancing many of my tasks. For me, the other thing too that has made it easier is everything that we do is relevant. The discussion boards, the material, the presentations, everything that's covered, I'm dealing with on a daily basis. So I'm engaged, and I really love it because it's so relevant to what I do every day in this position.
I'm really, really happy to hear that. That's, of course, our goal, and good to know that at least we have a good batting average. But if you don't mind me saying so, Captain, it seems like you need to continue to promote and to have your master's degree just to kind of keep up with the precedent that your kids are setting around you. They're going to leave you in the dust here if you're not careful. So back to that relevant topic, we strive really, really hard, and our faculty in particular, our staff, our administration work really hard to keep our program as useful and applied as it possibly can be. And in the Data Fluency Analysis course that you both were recognized in, we had what we describe as a dual use assignment, where it was a cumulative project on something having to do with data and evidence, intelligence-led policing or something similar. But we hope that most students choose a topic, and they have broad discretion, that not only fulfills these academic requirements, but maybe they can study something that's of particular use to their agency. So we hope that they choose an issue or a challenge or an opportunity that they can have this tangible product where they've been coached by their professors throughout, coached by their peers throughout, that can have value to their agency as well. So Captain Chandler, I'm going to start with you here. Do you mind just providing a quick executive summary of your project in this course, what you chose, and why did you choose it, please?
Sure. One thing that you've noticed is probably you don't get quick executive summaries from me and Seth. And so I'll give you as quick as I can. We, like many agencies, have some staffing challenges. So currently we're down nearly 100 officers. We're allotted for 769, and we're about 100 short of that. And not only are we short, but we also have recruiting challenges. And so, for example, the past 3 years, the number of applicants who have applied to become a police officer have dropped drastically. Years past, it's been multiple thousands of applicants. And in 2020, we had about 3,200 applicants. In 2021, we had about 1,600 applicants. And then last year, we had about 800 applicants. And we're on pace for about the same amount this year. And so what we have really been looking at in my department is what are we doing with the resources that we do have? And we know that our patrol officers are really struggling right now. Anytime we take either from a promotion or a specialty team, we are always taking from patrol. And so patrol is really the foundation of what we do in police work. If someone calls 911, as Seth mentioned earlier, they're having a really tough day, and they really need us to respond and provide whatever support they need for their situation. And so you walk into a roll call right now, and in the roll call rooms, they're depleted, and the officers are really feeling the workload. What we ask of them nowadays is way more than what we asked from them a year ago, 2 years ago, and definitely when I was a patrol officer. We look at the overtime that the officers are needing to work just to meet our minimums. It's not sustainable. And so as a department, we have been talking about how do we have some more balance in not only helping make sure that we provide the service to the community when someone calls 911, but also some balance, making sure that we have opportunities within our organization for specialty assignments. And so with my project, I looked at data for the past 10 years, looking at the workload of the officers, including reports taken in, all of the overtime that has been needed to fill those minimums, the population in the city, which has drastically increased over the past years. And so in looking at all this data, all the workload has increased significantly. However, the number of officers assigned to patrol has decreased. And so that's not sustainable. And so what I did in my project was take a look at all this data and then provide a recommendation on where we should allocate our resources, how many we should have in patrol. And I had to take a hard look at all of our specialty units and determine where can we condense or potentially eliminate some positions. And that's what we've been doing as a management team over the past 5 months. So it was very relevant to everything that we were doing. I pulled extra data, some of the data I was able to gather from the meetings that we've had. And so that's how relevant it was. It's something that we as a management team have been looking at since the beginning of the year.
I'm so very glad to hear that it not only was relevant, but timely and relevant, that your agency was wrestling with just those challenges. And I will say, starting the research for this program in 2013, probably recruitment and retention has been, bar none, the most consistently cited challenge from across the country, any context, any agency. So I'm happy you got to leverage this project to address something that's so critical for your agency. Sergeant Cimino, real similar question. Your data fluency and analysis project, what did you focus on, and how was it maybe useful for your agency as well, please?
Yeah, so I supervise our homeless outreach navigator program like I described. So I wrote on the impact of homelessness-related issues in the city of Citrus Heights. I'm very fortunate to sit literally next door from one of our crime analysts and discussed for them my thoughts on kind of peeling back layers of the onion on this issue here at the department or in the city as a whole, having a very good understanding of what involving homelessness in Citrus Heights, supervising our navigators. I wanted to see what the impact was in relation to calls for service, contacts, arrests, hotspots in our community, times of day, locations, days of the week, businesses affected. So I really started to kind of peel that back a little bit. And then to finish, something that Sacramento County has, we have here in Citrus Heights as well. We call it a chronic nuisance offender program. I wanted to highlight and look at individuals in our city that were chronic nuisance offenders, specifically to see the amount of resources that went into working with one specific individual, and then to even dive in a little bit further, the cost to the taxpayers of what it took to deal with one situation. Police officer salary, general services salary, just trying to think of a few other things or other. All is said and done, if we were to respond to a large homeless encampment, what did that cost the city of Citrus Heights for us to go provide our services, deal with the individual specifically to try to meet their needs if there was enforcement action on top of it, public or private property, and then the cost behind it. So it was extremely eye-opening to me to see this. And this is something that, I mean, it's nationwide, it affects us, but in California, we really see this. This is a big deal. I mean, for us here in the state, affordable housing, mental illness, drug and alcohol or substance abuse, the lack of potential resources that are there, wraparound resources, what I would call them, for recovery and rehabilitation that has led to where we are now. So it was an eye-opening project, to say the least. And then some of the statistics that behind that, the costs, the percentages, the population as a whole, I was blown away by what the bigger picture is related to homelessness related issues.
Wow, what I'm struck about both of your projects, I mean, as a nerdy social scientist by trade, right, this is truly a complex, layered, multifaceted analysis, kind of using the same skills and analytical processes on the complexities of staffing and making sure that patrol is positioned to be successful in relation to other important specialty assignments, and also quantifying the impact and challenge of one of your predecessors who won the DB MVP Chief Steve Watson out of Eureka Police Department called the tragic triad, which is the interplay of housing and cost of living challenges with potential drug issues and potential mental health challenges. So what a fantastic social science, real world LE hybrid of a project. I'm really glad our audience got to hear about both of your projects. Well, gentlemen, as we're kind of pushing towards wrapping up here, this is my favorite part of the interview, where I get to embarrass you both a little bit. And we're going to start with the captain here. When your peers cast a vote, they don't just cast the numerical vote, they provide a short rationale. So Captain Chandler, folks who voted for you described your post as inspiring, filled with great content, and that you were really quick to respond. 2 direct quotes. One of my favorites, Vance is top shelf. He always gets his discussion boards in very early and is engaged with many of the classmates. His discussion boards are always very high level and incredibly informative. Another student wrote, I've taken 2 courses with Captain Chandler now. His discussion responses are always in-depth, detailed, provide unique perspectives, and include references to the coursework. I find myself continually learning just by reading his discussion board every week. He is certainly an asset to the Sacramento Police Department and an asset to this program. And I mean, that's strong praise from a tough audience, Captain. And it goes back to when you introduced yourself, that you weren't just representing yourself as an individual, but also your agency in the interactions. That seems to have resonated with your colleagues. So with that as the context, thanks for everything that you brought to the program here, Captain. Before we sign off and kick it over, I get to embarrass our colleague, the Detective Sergeant, here in a minute. But any final thoughts for our LE community out there, sir?
Those comments are really nice, and I'm honored to be here and join you today and join Sergeant Cimino. And for the record, Sergeant Cimino did post first every single time on the discussion board. And being a big baseball fan, he's a Red Sox fan, I was hoping that he would get like to second base, and then I'd come up next and I could like hit him home, but he would hit a home run every single time at bat first. And so very nice comments by my peers. And I'll just leave with a few things. First, the staff here is incredible. We had Captain Goldberg during this course, and he's very engaged on the discussion board. He's very responsive. He held scheduled Zoom meetings weekly, and he provided feedback, input, and the staff, they have so much experience and knowledge and expertise, and they are all willing to share that. And so what a benefit for all of us as students to learn from them. And then the peers in the class. I mean, we learn from each other. We all have our unique experiences, 20 to 25 people in each class with, how many years of experience dealing with many similar challenges, but also unique challenges. In an agency that's dealing with the challenge today, we may not be dealing with it yet, but we could be dealing with it next week or next month. And so it's been just a wonderful experience. And then also, I would just like to add that those who are thinking about joining this program, I highly encourage you to do it. Not only does this program provide you the opportunity to improve your leadership skills and benefit from the staff that I already mentioned, but also the networking. I now have a partner that I could call and Seth and say, hey, how would you handle this? I have other peers that I can call when I face challenges, or our department faces challenges, and I say, hey, we are facing this. Have you faced anything similar? How did your agency handle it? And so it's been an incredible experience. My wife is definitely happy that this is my last semester, and my kids are. And I am happy also because I will have more time with my family. But I will miss it, and I will definitely miss the discussion boards and being able to engage and learn and also share with all the students.
Thanks very much. I'm honored and humbled that we've served you that well to earn those kind of comments. But I'm so happy you brought up both Captain Goldberg, who sets a precedent for engagement and timeliness, but also the alumni network. And I will say, with the recent graduation, I think we're about 1,200 alumni of this program total, spread out across the U.S. And we're going to have some exciting things for our alumni coming, I hope, by about early mid 2024. So to leverage that community, we're going to create an alumni quote unquote course, all for free and all for fun, where I'm going to pull in a highlight reel of what's happening in current LEPSL courses. We'll have, again, all optional and for free and for fun. discussion boards, some professional networking parts of the discussion board where we can deliberately share best practices, and we can lean on people from across the country, and much like other large organizations do. So we're excited to roll that out here in early 2024. I got to do a lot of the tech stuff myself, so bear with me, but we're going to get there. All right, Sergeant Cimino, you're not getting off the hook here, sir. Your peers recognized you, described your posts and major themes as solid, timely, thought-provoking, and engaging. Student noted that you were always first to respond, but not in some symbolic way, in a detailed and depth-oriented way. Your posts were very insightful, was another theme. A direct quote that stood out to me, quote, "Seth has challenged me mentally with his discussion boards, and each one has helped me better understand police departments and its challenges. He is a forward thinker, and he challenges me to get out of my comfort zone and take a leap of faith during each discussion board." Quite frankly, folks, it's students like you who make this program so special. It's students like you that we have to thank, and faculty like Captain Goldberg and many, many others, for how this program's been received. With that as the context, and again, well-earned, sir, any kind of final thoughts for our audience out there here, Detective Sergeant?
That last quote is that hits close to home and is extremely humbling, because I, by nature, am a guy who plays things close to the vest. And I have always been happy in my little box, my comfort zone, and to try to challenge myself to step out. Enrolling in the LEPSL program or other things has been, it takes a little bit of work on my end, a little bit of gusto to get it done. So that one really means a lot. Involving this program as a whole, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. This is Seth Cimino speaking here. This has revolutionized my life, this program. In a professional way, yes, as I would have expected it to, but in a personal way, to learn to work to be a better leader, to manage my time, resources, efficiency, effectiveness as a husband and a father. Now I get there's a time commitment to this, but this program has been absolutely amazing. You know, I graduated college in 99 from Sac State, and I always thought about going back to get my master's. My old lieutenant, who I just wrote about in my discussion board, he's a top shelf guy. When are you going to get your master's? Oh, I'll get it. No time's better than the present. No time's better than the present. When is going to be a good time for you, Seth, is what he said. I don't know. Life. And until I enrolled, it became a good time. I had kind of, I don't want to say pushed it off, but I regret a bit not doing this sooner. To have an opportunity to partner with Captain Chandler, other excellent classmates and faculty, to accelerate my growth personally and professionally as a leader. I regret maybe missing out on that opportunity a few years back. I have two folks that I work with here in the department that are LEPSL grads, and they were the ones that pushed me over the finish line to say, get it started. Here's why this program will benefit you. And if it wasn't for them, I don't know. I really don't. You talk about the networking as a whole. You know, I think back to a class we had, Class 500, Contemporary Issues. And we had a spotlight expert in there with Chief Neil Gang. To fast forward to Data Fluency, Chief Gang is in the class with us. I had a question specifically about wellness and peer support. I don't know who I would have gone to in regards to that, but I knew Chief Gang was an expert in it. So it's the networking and being able to communicate with him and get that information, which has been absolutely vital. A true privilege, Dr. Fritsvold, you, the staff, and I think I can speak for the captain when I say this. Our peers, our classmates, the faculty, you have pulled something out of us as leaders that I think we knew deep down was there, but you helped us recognize that, and it has been absolutely revolutionary. And I am honored to be a part of USD. Going back many years, I grew up in San Diego. I moved away up here to Sacramento when I was 13. my grandfather had visions of me going to USD, the Notre Dame of the West, he called it. Playing
That's right.
baseball at USD. Anyway, I went to Sac State and played baseball with it, but here, and now he's passed, but now to say we're in the home stretch, 11 more weeks, and I will be a USD LEPSL Master's Program grad is just, it's awesome. It's so awesome. So thank you, Dr. Fritsvold, for all the hard work. Thank you, staff. Thank you, classmates.
Wow. That's really humbling here, Sergeant Cimino. And, the best thing about my job is, I unfairly get to get all this credit for the hard work of so many people around me. So I'm really appreciative that you highlighted from our student services team and Abby Oliver and Ben Joyce, who run that shop, to our fantastic faculty, to our outreach folks and Casey Murphy and others. It's, you wake up every morning and get into work alongside, students and faculty of your caliber is a real challenge. And it's, the coolest thing that's ever happened to me in my career. I could say that without any moment of hesitation. I think it came across loud and clear to our audience that it's students like this that make our program special. Sharing best practices, sharing experience, diving into the issues of the day. It's a learning experience for me every single day. And I hope you got a little bit of a flavor of that through this interview. So I want to wrap up just by congratulating you both. And from the bottom of my heart, it's really student effort like this that sets the bar, sets the precedent for quality and what we're trying to achieve here in the program. So our success is attributable directly to you. So Captain Chandler, Sergeant Cimino, huge congratulations on being our Data Fluency and Analysis same time, same class discussion board MVPs. We'll kick it back to Sarah here to close this out, but congratulations, gentlemen. Thank you both for a great conversation.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you all so much for joining us today. And thank you to all of our viewers who may be watching us live or watching the replay. We appreciate you taking the time out of your day to join us and meet our discussion board MVPs. Thanks, everyone, and we'll see you next time.